length about quite a bit. Tell that there's a particular issue that he's got a lot of offense about. He's highly offended at the lawmakers who helped out Epstein, even with all the stuff that was verified to us to be true. It's still relegated to conspiracy theory. Look at these two. These are bullets. Very specific bullets. These for black powder. That's like the olden day cowboy guns. Muzzle loader. Found them over in the parking lot at Grace Sue's. There was another one I saw there probably, I don't know, 2-3 weeks back. Which means somebody who likes muzzle loading is, well, likely got enough of those things in his vehicle he can go out and target shoot for a few weeks straight. Just load and shoot and load and shoot. So, you might have them in a plastic bag. That's where I had mine. They were in a Ziploc bag. And when it busted open, they all fell out. So goes life, right? Well, it made a pretty big mess. But I don't own a black powder rifle. Them bullets ain't gonna do me no good. Having 2 bullets with no propellant behind them does no good whatsoever. What's this got to do with the guy with the 2 dogs? Well, he talked a bit about people's dogs getting shot. Now, I don't know why you guys don't listen to that part alone. When I told you about the people in Boulder, Colorado, some of them killed themselves over their dogs getting took and put down. Of course, most people who are dog people, we take them up the mountain, we keep them monitored, we give them lots of love. We try to feed them. They don't generally eat. They get a real heavy hunger ping, and then they eat a whole bunch. And then, of course, they feel bad because they ate, because they're supposed to be mourning, and then they go without eating for a bit. And it's the reason I tell you this is because these are first-hand experiences. First-hand experiences on multiple occasions. When that man speaks about them shooting folks' dogs, we speak about the beatdowns and the importance of making everything public and also making sure you tell the truth. If you fucked up, admit you fucked up. Fess up quick. The quicker you fess up, the less you got to backtrack to try to cover your trail. Best not to backtrack at all. If you're backtracking, you're making no forward progress. Forward progress is the goal, is it not? Some of these amendments and initiatives that have been, well, shot down over the years. You know, these are emergency situations, especially with the homeless, especially with the disabled. These are number 1 and 2, number 2 victims on every fucking list. You guys hate the homeless more than you hate child molesters. You hate the disabled more than you hate child molesters. And your statistics prove it. Why is this? Well, the homeless and the disabled don't have the same protections as a child molester. If you go after the man who raped you, you're committing a hate crime. If you have PTSD because he raped you, he's going to go free because now you're mentally ill. Of the 509 diagnoses in the DSM-5, all of them fall under the blanket. Every single one of them falls under the blanket of mentally ill. And according to the law, mentally ill means violently schizophrenic. So we need therapists to get involved in the legal process. This is fucking a lot of people over. Having a different legal definition than a professional definition. And those professionals are using the professional definition, and the courts are using the legal definition. Well, Jesus, that's a fucking pretty big fucking problem for a pretty easy goddamn fix, ain't it? A lot of the stuff that guy was saying is common sense. And a lot of y'all probably gonna get caught up on the Epstein thing like I do. Yeah, we know. We all know. So instead of focusing on it like we don't know, how about we focus on the solutions? I definitely can understand your final solution. I understand y'all's need for violence in these situations, but no, that makes martyrs. That makes monsters into martyrs. And we can't be having that. Alright. So we're in town, we're passing the Astro. A lot of times when I'm making a video, I want to stay on topic, so I want to pass by there instead of getting too friendly. Now, some of y'all, there's definition of friendly. If you guys have ever read The Language of Victims, I've only heard this secondhand. I've actually never read the book. I have watched a video by the same title, not the same author, and basically the one that I watched was the breakdown. Kind of like I do with some of these police videos, their actions, their inactions, why and where, what is their purpose, and why is it that multiple interactions with a small police force are important. Why is that important information? With a lot of folks, they like to dance around the timeline. All of these professionals, all of them telling me stuff like they're afraid to lose their job if they do their job as mandated reporters. So when they explain why they never did their job as mandated reporters, Jesus, I don't have my hoodie now. Let me make sure I have my wallet. No, it's back with my hoodie, so I gotta go find it. Boy, do I feel smart. The Man with Two Dogs, he talks about a lot of dynamics, integral and important dynamics. He speaks of the dynamics that I've dealt with here in Hood River as well. You guys get to see that. The things that he speaks about, well, they're entirely possible. Not only are they entirely possible, but based on my experience, entirely probable. In my recordings, I've got multiple locations, multiple states, trying to get me to jump through the same hoops as every other state, saying, oh, each one of them telling me that, oh, we're different, we do things differently here. And then they put the same forms in front of you and give you the same treatment. Let me tell you something about autism. My brain is mighty. There aren't very many people who can handle what I've been through, especially mentally. Physically, yeah, I know some tough motherfuckers. I really do. There's a lot of people that could absolutely handle this physically, but mentally, no. That man earlier, you saw how quick he was to violence. Well, vandalism, kind of. Do I think he hurt the metal box? No, I don't. I think between him and the metal box that he punched, the metal box fucked his fist up. I don't think that he got the positive end of that engagement. Now, when he's calmed down, he might tell the story of that, and I should have just pointed the camera. I mean, but you get to hear him in that, and he's quick to violence, like all of you. I'd say most of you, but no, all of you. There are certain things that if people did to you, you would consider them so incredibly rude that you would fucking deck them. Now, if you're a woman in the United States, it's one of those situations where you would likely, not all women are like this, thank goodness, but likely expect a man to get violent on your behalf. Such is the case as in with Will Smith, but with Will Smith, no, that was a good joke. What she's got is called baldness. A lot of people's excuses was that most men are bald. It's a worse thing for women. How so? I think bald is beautiful. So Britney Spears, speaking of bald, is beautiful. Mentally ill, right? Well, she has a stress-induced illness, and then she's being forced to go out on stage while she has a guardian who is taking advantage of her, and literally, this is the definition of human trafficking. Meanwhile, he gets to literally human traffic her and parade her publicly for over a decade. You know, I didn't think of Britney Spears as a human being until she shaved her head. You know how sad that is? Before that, she was just another pretty blonde-haired, well, you guys know. A lot of women I know who are Hispanic, they intentionally dye their hair blonde. There's a reason for that. And it's not because gentlemen prefer blondes. The guy with the 2 dogs, he's got to worry about his dogs. That's his family. He's got to make decisions based on his dogs. But you know what? He don't have any problems whatsoever speaking all day, every day about them fucking child molesters. He don't like them. He don't like them. I don't like them. These sticks here are going to get someone fucking killed. Where'd they even come from? Here's the thing about these sticks. That guy who's got the very well-trained boxer that I keep speaking so highly about, he rides a skateboard. Mobley rode a skateboard in Boulder. I rode a skateboard in Boulder, Sector 9. These are longboards. You hit one of these fucking sticks, it'll fucking kill you. Not the stick itself. It'll stop your board or fucking flip your shit. Now, if you're good with a board, like Ventus is damn good with a longboard. Ventus can do trick boarding on a longboard. Well, there might be some youngins. Didn't we have a movie in the 80s that started that way? Oh, we got 4 more youngins. Raccoons. I'm not sure if I pointed it right in their direction or if you can see them. Oh, there's a 5th one. I hope it's viewing it. Yup. Dang. Feisty little, ain't they? Talking about the raccoons. Might be what the cops are after, huh? Is that the cops or is that an ambulance? Who recognizes that? We'll find out in just a second. I think that's ambulance. speaking of Sector 9 and longboarding, Mobley, aka Stephen McMillian, was an ambulance driver. Well, actually, he was an EMT. I don't know if he was an ambulance driver. He was an EMT. So if he was in an ambulance, probably would have been in the back of it. The Cahooligan type, yep, the ambos. That likely means there'll be an officer coming just shortly behind him unless they have sheriff's department already up the mountain. Alright. This is the Hood River. This is, oh, look at those little islands over there. A bunch of little round tufts. Isn't that just, they're not actually all round. It's the grass that's growing there. It just kind of bushes out so it looks round. And there's a bunch of them. That would be a lovely island to sleep on. But if you notice there, this part here has got foliage all over it. However, the ruts that are in it show us that the water gets much higher. Good idea in theory, bad idea in fact. A lot of that man's ideas, he has a lot of the same ideas as most of you Americans. He's also, according to many of the Brits, same thing. So apparently I'm not only at war with the United States government, I'm already at war with the British government, because leave no victim behind. They're not just doing this to us, they're doing it to others. It's first world countries. First world countries that are losing their empires. First the Brits. The Brits lost theirs during the war with the French. Through the war, they were actually able to hold on to a few territories and fought hard to try to gain them back afterwards. They lost horribly everywhere. So that was the second major one to fall. And then, of course, we had to wait a while for the Soviet Union, didn't we? 1989, the Berlin Wall fell. I remember it well. I remember they were selling pieces of it. Kind of like they had pieces of moon rock that you could buy. These weren't even actually real pieces of moon rock. These were pieces of apparently regular rocks that had been touched into some moon rock dust. Great gimmick from the 1980s. You can look it up. It was great. Thank you, NASA. All right, so moving on. There's so much little shit that you can do. So much tiny stuff. Just takes a moment of your time to do it. I absolutely love that woman's little Vespa. It's pink! I love pink. But this is where we get to play, right? Well, it's not playing. This is very real. This is real life. Dean very much is not mentally stable. Actually not mentally stable. He does things out of fear reactions. Because of his experiences. But also finding out exactly what those experiences were, it's a little difficult. I've heard a few different stories from different people who claim to have known him beforehand and after. And also from my personal experiences, I know that both sets could be true. It could be drugs that were forced into the man's system that did this. It could have been a beating from the cops that did this. But goddamn, they beat his fucking head in. You know, here's the thing about that story. Ogre, that's Christopher Weaver. Well, alright, I guess I'm back at the park and ride so we can check for my wallet, right? Absolutely. can forget whatever we were talking about. Make sure we keep information on hand. Oh my God, there's a man there himself. Hey! Somebody, somebody stuck a bunch of sticks on the bridge over there. Sticks, like sticks, like off of a tree, but there wasn't no trees nearby. I thought to myself, you know what? That man with the well-behaved boxer rides that skateboard. If he hits that, that could be all sorts of dangerous.
Appreciate that. Thank you.
Yes, sir. I knocked him off the way, so you're good to go. All right, so what's our mission agenda? The man with the 2 dogs who we spoke with earlier. There's things that he said that do scare the living shit at me. They make me not want to talk to him. I know that he didn't mean it that way, and he definitely was his aggression towards me. No, it wasn't. Not at all. Not even a little bit. He did actually direct it where it needed to go. But the thing is, for folks out here living on the streets, not being allowed to work together is just so screwed up. Where we have to be afraid of being targeted if we stick up for the next guy. With the news, a lot of people want to tell me, hey man, it's not you, man. They just treat all the homeless like that. No, this is worse. This is far worse. So much worse. When you're stuck in it and they put you on the news. I went from I had less than 100 predators over the Natalie situation. There was about 40 people overall who took part in it. And not all of them were taking part in it intentionally. Most of them were lied to by Maddie Boa. And some of them, they just fucking had tempers flaring over other shit, and that was easy to take it out on. Alright, so Cahooligan typed, what you catch in there? Catfish probably. Molten Xanax typed, hold on a second. Greetings, Sean. What do you think about particle colliders? I don't know much about particle colliders. I do know that the one they apparently made in, Utah, they had it on the Discovery Channel because it's over a mile long. That's fucking cool. It's really cool, but I don't understand its purpose. Why do we have one? Why do we expend that much copper? That's a lot of copper. Why we spend that much money on something like that? Do we really need that? What's that going to do? What's that going to help? Maybe in the future it may amount to something. Well, maybe. But I don't see why we need to use that much copper. We also have what's that other machine that they made there? The one that just shoots the thing super fast. I'm trying to remember the name of that one. Well, here's the thing about the sciences that I've learned about. I learn about applied science. I learn about day to day. What am I likely to use? What are my interests? Where your interests lie. That is a good place to get an education, because the more education you get in whatever your interest is, first of all, you might find you're not actually interested in it before you end up investing a bunch of stuff into something you're not going to be interested in. Oh, damn. See, I screwed the lid on too tight. I can't open it up. My hand's pretty weak. I like boats. There's boats here. Maybe the marina will give away a boat and say, hey, you know what? If you take the boat, you can have it. If you get it out of our marina, it's yours. If they do that, I am going to fucking raise the goddamn Jolly Roger. I don't want to be here. And basically, the homeless are sent off and shipped off and scared off from everywhere they go. They're victimized by everyone from the police to even from time to time ambulance drivers. We get to see a lot of folks in their paranoia and their hatred and their obvious schizophrenia. People getting completely delusional, not looking at the statistics, not looking at the facts. Many of the things that I say about women, what I'm doing is changing the context. I'm changing it so that the context is reversed, so that the other side can see how completely crazy we are by what are we supposed to do. We have conflicting crap coming at us. You want us to vote along women lines, and we don't know even what women want as far as what they want for us to do as far as that goes. We're supposed to stay out of women's issues. I try to stay out of women's issues, and I try to stick with equal rights. That's what I focus on, equality. With the guy with the dog, there's a lot of anxiety that I have right now, and it'll take me a good 24 hours to come down from that anxiety. I mean, I'm afraid of, you know, it freaks me out when people are like that. It scares me a lot. It scares me if it's Shannon Alvarado, although she wasn't hitting things. It was very scary to be there. When you hear Rick, what's that video called? It's called Rick Acting Like a Child, where he's just screaming at me through the whole thing, basically. I mean, I'm trying to be nice, and he's getting real snappy and snarky with me, and I'm just not feeling it. I hung out on him a few times. Ain't gonna lie. And it's recorded, so you can go back and look. You can listen. Shannon is actually scarier than him. You guys think I'm scary when I scream, but I scream at the camera. I don't generally go screaming at people. If it's a phone call and it's important and I'm having to do it alone again and I'm getting blown off again, I am probably going to scream. Because at some point, when they're doing their fucking bullshit and their word games and their fucking it's not our job, we're gonna ship you on to the next department or the next troop or the next whatever. Like with trying to turn in Scott DaCosta, how many different places were we sent? 12 or 13, right? I mean, with all the different troops and the head offices and the different departments I had to call Dual County Sheriff's Department themselves to turn in Dual County Sheriff's Department. This is the Sheriff's Department that has like 7 cops max. There's no police department. There's not a big enough population. The cops do whatever they want. It's one of them Republican states that many people are afraid of. And you know what? It's very, very Nazi. Ain't the Republicans the party that, well, Mr. Abraham Lincoln is famous for? Freeing the slaves, equality, and all that? What they ended up getting was a lot different. They didn't get equality. Abraham Lincoln getting shot in the head destroyed a lot of stuff, and it helped to ratify an amendment that was used horribly, horribly wrong. It was used against black people. The 13th Amendment doesn't abolish slavery. It makes slavery legal. Still, in the case of if you break the law, if you are convicted of a crime, they can, of course, use you for slave labor. And to this day, we still have chain gangs to this day. Even after what Fritz Saukel did, even after what Heinrich Himmler did, even after the horrible things that happened at Dachau and Auschwitz, and I'm probably pronouncing those wrong. The things that happened at Gusen II and Berg-Kristall, those were horrible atrocities, actually inflicted on human beings. Many of the things that, all right, the Tuskegee experiments, I'm going to make an entire video about that. He's right, syphilis. Yes, absolutely they did. And of course, we know that today. Those things actually were events that did happen. As far as comparing that to the COVID vaccine, you guys are all on edge about that. So no matter what your opinion is on the COVID vaccine, everybody's a conspiracy theorist to everyone. Is that not correct? The anti-vaxxers call you vaccine people idiots and claim that you're all brainwashed. And then you guys claim the same thing about them. And then you have this ongoing argument where they call you conspiracy theorists and you call them conspiracy theorists. And then both of you throw doctors' names back and forth and pretend like somebody won at some point. But really, you just get puttered out because you probably started doing what that guy did. Punching something metal and hurting yourself. Acts of vandalism. Like I said, I'm okay with acts of vandalism, especially in the case of saving a human life. If it's a day like today, you got a baby in a hot car, ain't no parents around, it's hot as fuck, you're goddamn right, I'll break that fucking window. No problem. Sure, it might be considered vandalism, but in that particular scenario, it is not. But also, it is important, 100% absolutely important, that you, as a private citizen, as soon as you encounter a situation like that, I know that it's only a moment between saving that baby's life and that baby dying. There's the possibility of that. But you need to pull out your camera. You need to record it. You need to state your intention and why. Then you break the window. And here's why. Police are human too. EMTs are human too. Doctors are human too. The police interact often with doctors. They encounter each other frequently. Not just with mentally ill people, but with injuries, with car accidents, with murders as well, accidental deaths, road deaths, people just dying in their house, drinking too much, or cardiac arrest. They interact a lot. You got to have a death certificate, and of course, got to file it somewhere. So when you piss off a cop, it's not difficult for a cop to want to believe that, well, he can lie to one of them hospital staff and get what he wants. I mean, he's the cop and you're the one he's claiming is mentally ill for trying to turn him in. So, of course, you don't get to turn him in. He just takes you in for a fucking checkup from the neck up. That guy down there, obviously, he's fucking livid about what he sees as an affront to every American. I see it the same way. I'm not going to pretend I don't. But no victim left behind. It doesn't matter if the victim is male or female. If you have a difference of opinion or if you have a different experience than me, that's fine. But you can't help others unless you can understand their situation. And in many of these cases, you will only be able to understand it from a first-hand point of view. The problem is, those of us who are living it, we don't actually want you guys to have to go through this. We don't. You are our loved ones. Many of our loved ones who threw us away, for whatever reason it may be. Maybe some of them folks, they do too many drugs. Maybe they're addicts and their families didn't want them because of that. Maybe they were accused of something they didn't do and they didn't want to tarnish the family name. Maybe they were told to go commit suicide by their family and they just couldn't do it. Out here, there's a different set of laws. There's a different set of rules. The man with the 2 dogs, he observes the old school rules, and I let him know it's not necessary, but I also let him know that I'm thankful for it. Now, with my car being completely dead, me not being able to charge up my things as a result of it, I don't have enough money on my Starbucks card anymore to get a cup of coffee. There might be like 8 or 9 cents on it now. I'll have to charge at the library, but the library is a tough one because It's a bit further and it's uphill to get there. Coming up the bridge, that's the biggest part that is, inclined, and there's a handrail there if I need it. Most of the way into town, there's just not. Maybe since I haven't messed with my battery for a bit and it's been off and I haven't tried to start it, maybe I'll get a couple of minutes worth of charge into my chargers. That's another one of them things that gentleman was speaking about. The outlets, covering them up. You're not allowed to use them. You're not allowed to have them. You're not allowed access because you're a hobo. You guys don't want us to have any what you see as freebies. You think you should have access to those freebies because you paid for them. You think most of us never paid taxes. With him, with his reasons for not getting a job, they're definitely different from mine. I can't mentally do it. I can't physically do it. I can't financially do it. I gotta get clean, and I don't mean off of drugs. I mean, I am filthy. Let's see. Candy typed WSP, hope you are doing fine. It's Canada Day soon, and hope you are in a mood as good as mine. I'm not in Canada, I'm in America, and I hope Canada's better than here. I really, truly do. I hope there's more humanitarianism. I hope that the Canadian envoys that you have sent down here with the logging crews, even with their almost filthy mouths, it's kind of tough to get some of them Canadians when they come down here south of the border. When they come down here south of the border, sometimes it's tough to get them to curse because proper etiquette and all that. But I also know quite a bit about the Canadians and their ability to scare the living shit out of the Germans more than any other nation. That was phenomenal. Canadians are some of the nicest folk you'll ever meet, of course. Well, maybe not. I don't know. I've met a few Canadians. They're awful nice. I've met people from other countries that are awful nice. I just happen to have met a lot of Canadians because I used to live in Washington State. And up there in the 90s, it was mostly lumberjacks, and it was, I lived in the city. I didn't see them or encounter them very often. It was usually when they're coming through on a work crew and going back home, things of that nature. But when people start being racist or sexist, sometimes I stop them and I tell them that I hate Canadians. Do I hate Canadians? Not even close. The reason I say it is because Canadians are so nice that when you say you hate Canadians, some people actually realize the futility of hating a whole group of people just based on, well, nation of origin. Now, since I can't get this soda pop open, and citrus is actually decent warm in my opinion, all I got left is this Dr. Pepper I bought yesterday, and they're not so good warm in my opinion. Out here when it's hot, we're stuck in the heat. Out here when it's cold, we're stuck in the cold. Out here, when a homeless person gives something up, he's giving up a lot, even if it's only a little bit. Like that $1 to go over to McDonald's that he gave me today. He gave me $1 so I could go get a drink, and then he talked to me for an hour. He wants people to know his story, and he wants people to hear his story. And I absolutely understand that. A lot of the stuff that people might look at as conspiracy theory and that, well, you go ahead and have your opinion. There's stuff he and I have differences of opinion on. Like I said, most people, their opinion is that these people should be killed. Most people's opinion of pedophiles and bad police is that they should be killed. Most people's opinion is that the best way to stop them, the best way to set the example, which is needed to stop them, is to kill a few. No, a few is not enough. If you're going to go the route of killing, you need to stop and consider that the first bodies that drop are going to be martyrs, and they're going to draw more people to that cause. They're going to sell a different narrative and a different story, and while you're busy shooting each other up, you're not busy finding out the truth of any of it. You figure whoever is left standing at the end, their story is the truth. History's proven this time and again. A lot of the stuff that he was talking about is history, actual history of the United States. Real, true, and honest history of the United States. The Trail of Tears, actual history. It's actual history. Those of you in Chapel High School who didn't pay attention, yes, that is in our curriculum in the 90s. You guys absolutely got to see that. It absolutely did happen. Just because you don't remember it doesn't mean that it didn't. But you see how difficult it is for me to handle situations like those. If I'm at Shannon Alvarado's or Brett Roloff's or anyone else or anywhere else for that matter, it takes me a good long while to calm down from that, from being near that, from hearing that, from seeing. I'm not allowed to get that way. Alright, so having a mustache, it tickles you sometimes. You get one of these that grows out weird and then it just tickles you. Or, of course, it catches a little bit of lint and then you got one little itch in one little place that just bugs the shit out of you until you get up close to your rear view mirror here and you pull out either a pair of scissors or you pull out your fingernail clippers and just go. His fears are legit, and the cops using pedophiles to antagonize or intimidate people, that's a common tactic as well. And if you know they're a pedophile, you know you can make them do whatever you want. You know why they lost the evidence? They lost previously recorded evidence because I told the truth about Robert Franklin Warnick. We should call the people at Pumpkin Pantry and ask them, hey, Rhonda, did the cops ever come and get those cameras from Pumpkin Pantry from the days that Robert Franklin Warnick was in there when I was in getting breakfast? Bread. Now, when I was talking to him and I was bringing up the lady at the Chevron, the guy with the 2 dogs, of course. When I was speaking to him about the lady over at the Chevron, she's not the only person. I mean, here in Hood River, just like anywhere else, that's what the cops play on. If the cops play on you're schizophrenic and they tell people you're schizophrenic and they play it off like you're schizophrenic, that was pretty fucked up. But it's commonplace. Justification of sin. That lady wanted to argue with me about the events. Well, she didn't want to argue. She straight up wanted to talk over me so she didn't hear what actually happened. I recorded it because I was there. She wasn't. So what's more important, the eyewitness account that is recorded on YouTube or her opinion? Probably her opinion. Alright, so I want to be able to save some battery, and I got, let me see. I still got 22% battery, so I'm going to eat my dinner. And there's a few other things that I was going to speak up about with him. And I know a lot of my stuff seems like it's all over the place. But if you go back and listen to the evidence and listen to the events and the eyewitnesses, and you go back and you look at when those events happened, one thing you notice quick, fast, and in a hurry is that every single thing that I did was a reaction to abuse. When I went to my friends for help, that was a reaction to abuse, a trained reaction. When we were kids, that's what we were taught. As adults, it's also what we're taught. But that system doesn't work if there are no effective measures in place to give those laws, those rules, and those regulations teeth. If you go in by yourself and you're called mentally ill, they don't have to do their job. It's just that simple. In that particular case, where somebody like George Floyd or Zayd Atkinson or someone like that who lives in a house can get the body camera evidence, somebody who is called mentally ill and they're homeless, doesn't matter that I was literally just forced into homelessness at that point in time because Natalie Bollinger disappeared. We didn't even know she was dead yet. And I've been forced into homelessness. Miss Peaches, that's Kayla Trujillo. She didn't understand the world she was throwing me into, but I'd seen it before. Well, this guy here, he was explaining to me earlier today. Might have been the other day, actually. But he was explaining to me, he was like, all right, so here's the thing with the pedophiles. I lost my job because a pedophile come in fucking with a kid and was claiming that I stole shit. Now, whether the man did it because Hood River put him up to it or not, I don't know. This man is insistent that it was Hood River that put him up to it, and it very well could be, especially if they got a previous history. But any crimes that are committed against him, do you really think the cops are going to help him? Probably not.